Well, hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Midday Motivation. We are going to be trying to do this on a regular basis. Y'all, it's going to be different. It's going to be interesting, but we're trying to do some different things this year as we connect with everybody. So, for those of you now, the goal is to keep these under 15 minutes. Yes, I said 15 minutes. We're going to do these for 15 minutes. And we're just going to come on and we're going to have a variety of topics. Now, today may be a little longer only because we're introducing it to everyone. So, for those of you that don't know who I am Deborah Franklin. I am an author and speaker, but most of all, I am the founder of Church Girl CEO. And Church Girl CEO is something that's near and dear to my heart. And it's just, I got some big announcements for Church Girl CEO as well, but I'm not going to do that because that is not what today is all about. Hey, Amy, what's up? What's up, girl? Hey, y'all. We got to hang out with Amy this weekend with Church Girl CEO. Y'all, it was a blast, honey. We was in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Had a great time. And we got to join her for church, and it was awesome. Today, so for those of you also, let me just go ahead and put a lot of things out there. For those of you that don't know, I'm also a publisher. Deborah Franklin Publishing. We are a full service publishing company. So we did some posts trying to get to see what people were looking for as far as their publishing needs, why they haven't published their book, why they haven't told their story, or if they needed some help. I was talking to a potential client and she said something that kind of disturbed me. But then when I thought about it, I was like, that is something that a lot of people, especially those of us that grew up in church, grew up around people that would always, how they say when you do something, you do it well. And they would say, oh my God, you were awesome. You just blessed my spirit. And you would say, thank you. And then they were like, no, you don't say thank you. You just automatically say that God does it. And absolutely. Hashtag share your story. Most definitely. And they would say, you're just supposed to say God did it. But y'all, that is true. But God also gave you that gift. God gave you that gift. God let you go through what you went through in order to be a survivor. But most of all, to share your story with others so they can know that they too can make it. They too can be set free and delivered from whatever that may be. So that's one thing we have to look at when it's time for us to tell our stories. And the person also said something like, well, I just don't want to do it, or I'm not sure because I just want to stay humble. But are you really trying to be humble? Or are you in fear? Are we confusing fear and being humble? Are we confusing the two? Because when you're being humble, you are just doing things. Being humble does not mean that you don't share your story. Being humble does not mean that you don't say thank you. Being humble does not mean when you're telling somebody like, hey, I can do this and I can do it well. Because, I was always taught, I never forget, our bishop told us, it's a poor dog that won't wag his own tail. Not in a boastful way, but to be bold about what you are doing. Absolutely. I'm not sure who the Facebook user is, but whoever you are, thank you. That is exactly what it is. Hashtag be bold. Because you have to be bold about what you're doing. You have to be bold about who you are. You have to do it unashamed, and being able to show up authentically as yourself. That way, when you enter into the room, people know, yes, that person is here and they are ready to take care of business. They are ready to do what they are here to do. Even if you are in your cubicle, you have to show up bold. You know your stuff. You know your business. You know what you're supposed to do. You know how to help your client. You know how to help that customer. You know how to go out in these good digital streets and do what you have been called to do. But you have to know that you have to show up bold and authentic. You cannot hide behind that. I'm not sure if they're going to like me. I'm not sure if they're going to listen to me. Because you know why I can say that? Because I used to operate in that same vein. I used to think that nobody wanted to hear what I say. Nobody would follow me. I used to think that because of some of the things that I went through as a child and even as an adult, because, I always thought, because I hated to be caught up in that circle, that click, because I'm not cliquish. And that's one of those things that you have to show your story. Yes, share your story so someone else can be inspired, most definitely. And I was caught into that. And once I realized that that I could be me, I could show up and laugh like I laugh and laugh hard and laugh loud, because that's just who I am. I can show up with different hair, because honey, y'all, I could change a ponytail with the best of them. But what I'm saying is that I had to show up and start loving the skin that I was in. I had to show up and start loving who I was in order to be who you see today. Was it an easy journey? Absolutely not. Did I have people hating on me? Baby, they used to come for me in a way that it hurt, but it also motivated me. And so that's why that scripture that says, what the devil intended for evil, God turned it around for my good. For somebody to tell me that I would never sell a book because my black face was on it, y'all, that messed me up. But can I tell you I sold books? Can I tell you that book sold? Can I tell you that book is still selling? Did I make some adjustments to the cover? Absolutely. But I did not let what that person tried to do to stab me and to tear me down and to make me think less of myself. I did not let that turn me around. I let it move me to another level, because that's what I needed it for. Now, I know some people, they would have shut completely down. They would have went in their closet. They would have started crying, hooping and hollering, and they would have never moved to that next level, because they would have taken what somebody had to say. But I'm going to tell you right now, verbal abuse is verbal abuse. Physical abuse is physical abuse. And you cannot let some words of another turn you around from who you are and whose you are. Because when God gives you a vision, He will definitely give you provision, but you cannot be afraid of it to walk in it the way that God has told you to do it, because sometimes it's not going to make sense. Sometimes it's not going to even make sense to you. But when God shows you something, y'all, God gave me this project. When I tell y'all, I don't see none of it coming to pass, but the thing is, I know that it will, because God showed it to me. God is giving me different avenues. And when I tell you things are just coming in and just working the way that it should, but if I was not obedient and I let the fear of not knowing how to take it to that next level stop me, the project would have never started. The project would never get off the ground. And yes, I totally agree. Other women are depending on you to show up, that you can gain their courage. Oh my God. You know what? That is so true. You have to show up and tell your story, because now when you show up and tell your story, then you show up, and what happens is that not only do you encourage them, think about if you meet them or you get that email. When I tell you, getting those emails, getting those inboxes, or showing up to different conferences and people already had the book and they tell you how they have been encouraged, their encouragement encourages you. And it also makes you feel like, okay, God, you have given me the evidence. You have manifested more than what you could ever expect. Because faith, when you operate in faith, when you operate in your calling, you have to just step out and be bold and do it. And yes, the world is waiting for you. The world needs to hear your voice, because your voice matters. What you have to say, it matters. You have to show up and be who God has called you to be. Because I tell everybody, the sheep that need to hear your voice are going to hear it. This is my biggest one, y'all. Don't get caught up in numbers. Just because you come on and you do something, you only got 2 people on with you, you got 1 person on, you got 20. But y'all, those are the 20 or the 2 that need to hear your voice. And then you don't even know who's catching the replay. You just have to show up and be authentic. Write the book. Because I heard somebody, oh my God, this is the other one. Somebody was like, well, I'm not ready to tell my story or write my book because I don't think nobody gonna buy it. Who cares? Guess what? Somebody will buy your book. Somebody will get it. And but you know what? You have to look at it. You are not writing that book for sales. And if that's what you're writing your book for, then you're writing it for the wrong reason. You have got to write that book because that's what God told you to do. Yes, and I totally agree. Other women are depending on you to show up to get inspired because that inspiration, they need to see that you did it. They need to see that you joined in and told your story. And sometimes women need to hear those other stories, and men as well need to hear you tell your story because they need to know that they are not the only ones. Before I told anybody about what I experienced with verbal abuse, I never thought that how can I say this? I never really knew what it was. I didn't think that anybody was feeling that way or going through that. But to find out that other people had experienced it and how they got set free and delivered from it, or how they grew from that situation, it encouraged me to take that next level. And so then when I shared my story and I heard other people tell me how my story helped them and encouraged them to go to that next level because they were going through the same thing, y'all, I broke down in tears because it just moved my spirit to know that yes, somebody did want to hear from me. Yes, somebody would buy my book. Yes, my story was necessary. Yes, I was doing exactly what God told me to do, because sometimes we need that confirmation. We need that confirmation in order for us to go to the next level. And even like this weekend, for those that know me, it's really hard for me to depend on other people to do things. And did I break down in tears, y'all? I was a big crybaby because it showed me what had been spoken over me, that I would work with women, that I would be a leader of women, and that these women basically told me now it's time for me to step into what I have been preaching to them continuously. And I was like blown away when that was said. But I have been showing up as my authentic self. I have been showing up to do what God has called me to do. And most of all, yes, Amy, we don't need to ask God how when he asks us to do something. When we say yes to God, the how just follows. Baby, let me tell you, that yes is powerful, because when we say yes to God, I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care what you do. That yes takes you to a level that you have never expected. That yes will put you in rooms that you never expected to be in. That yes will open up doors that you never even thought would open up. But you just have to say the yes and then be humble enough to do it. But most of all, the Bible also tells us faith without works is dead. You got to put the work in. You cannot just sit around and wait for it to happen. You have to put it in. And that's why we have to show up boldly, show up ready to go. So get out of your feelings and share your story. Yes, 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 yes. Sis, get out of your feelings and share your story. Most definitely. Most definitely. Yes, 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 and yes. Because when you get caught up in all that, you're going to get stuck behind. You're going to get left behind. A lot of people are going through it and no idea how to overcome. That is so true. So many people are having experiences that is just like, they really need to have that, because if the pandemic showed us nothing else, that we are so much alike than we are different. Because a lot of people were going through and they were able to find solace and comfort from other people just by going online and talking to them, going in different groups and being able to communicate with people. And that's what telling your story is all about. That is what telling your story is all about. And your story could be the message someone needs to move forward in their life. Bam! Whoever this Facebook user is, that is the truth. That is that and some. And sometimes you just have to step out of your comfort zone. We may feel like we are being roasted over that fire, but boy, is that s'mores good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. You know what? That's a great analogy, Amy. And I like that because just like that marshmallow, that's your story. That story, because it is so soft and firm and but the thing about it, think about when you smush that marshmallow, it bounces back. You push that marshmallow in, it bounces back. You put that marshmallow over the fire, it gets crusty, it gets good, it gets all this stuff. But then you think about, you got this piece of chocolate that's sustainable, and you got these crackers that you're gonna hold the sandwich together. And then when that marshmallow gets cooked over the fire, you put it in, it doesn't change that it was a marshmallow, but it makes it where it blends in and it makes something else that's even better. So we got to think about our problems as a marshmallow, and we're getting ready to make s'mores, baby. So, y'all, that right there, preach. Y'all better watch out. But and that's what we have to look at. And oh, hey, Frederick, thank you for joining in. You are so on point with us today. Y'all, I am so excited about what God is doing, what God is getting ready to do in the lives of his people. And I'm getting ready to write something about this marshmallow analogy, because that is what we have to think about it. That marshmallow goes into the fire and it gets all crusty. You can sit there and you can move it. It can get brown. It can get dark brown. It can catch on fire. You blow the fire out. And guess what? It's still a marshmallow. That is what we are going through. That is what we have been through. But think about when you add the other ingredients. Yeah, I want you to think about that. But y'all, it's not being humble. It's fear. Get over it. Get out of it. Tell your story. And we want to hear from you. Let us know what's going on. And today, we're going to end this because I've gone just a bit over my 15 minutes, but I told you today will be a little longer. But most of all, y'all, I love you to life, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great one. Peace.